At the age of 14, my stepmother kicks me out of the family home. My father passed away and she was supposed to protect me, supposed to look after me until I hit the age of 18, where I would get the full inheritance that I'm rightfully owed. However, that is not what happened at all, and I can't wait till my aunt finds out what my stepmom has done. My life is a literal movie, and you might think I'm exaggerating, but what I'm about to tell you will shock you. Before I get into the juicy stuff, I need you guys to understand the background of everything that's happened, which is why I'm going to introduce some of my family members to you. The first person I'll talk about is my dad, because he's the most important person in my life. My dad's always been my best friend ever since I was young. Many girls, they usually look up to the moment they're young, but I've always looked up to my dad. We did everything together, from playing games to him being my personal Barbie doll. We were kind of inseparable. When my mother passed away, I was a child. I was in middle school when it happened, and honestly, I was very devastated. I think it's mainly because we were such a happy family, and I don't know, I never thought that we would separate this way. I was not the only one who was devastated, though. My father was in a much worse situation. He stopped eating, he stopped hanging out with friends, and he stopped playing games with me. He felt like an empty shell of a human at that point, and it's understandable why he is the way he is, though. Because my mom and dad were high school sweethearts. This basically meant that they've been in love for over a decade, and it never faded a tiny bit. That's how strong it was. Eventually, everything did start to go back to normal, but then obviously there was something missing in the house. It was a very big house, and it was just me and Dad, so obviously things still felt a little empty and weird. That's why I managed to convince my dad to step back into the dating world, find somebody who brings the same spark back to him. I gave him a very motivational speech about how it was important that he lives his life to the fullest for Mom, and I guess it must have worked because 4 months later my father was introducing me to my future stepmother, Julian. Julian looked like she would be a sweetheart. I mean, everything about her was screaming soft and innocent. For the longest time, I thought she was very innocent. I used to tell everybody how those stories of stepmothers hating their stepchildren were so false, because Julian treated me like I was her own child, like she did not even know how to stop loving me. I guess I should have thought more about the fact that I was boasting and that karma was going to bite me in the butt, because oh boy did it bite. Basically, what happened was that my father also developed some kind of autoimmune disorder. Well, it weakened his muscles, which in turn weakened his organs, and so very quickly he was on his deathbed. Honestly, everything happened so fast. I didn't even have time to process what was happening to my father. Being sick before I was being told that he even passed away. I was shocked to my core because I could not imagine a life without Dad. He was everything to me. The only thing that he was keeping me was the fact that Julian and I still had a thing for each other to hang out and, support each other for the hard time. What I did not expect was for Julian to stab me in the back and leave me by myself into this cruel world. I was 14 when this happened. I was 14 when my father was taken away from me, and I was left in the hands of a cruel lady who absolutely ruined my life. Guys, picture this. A mere 14-year-old mourning the loss of the father. Little did I know my stepmom was about to drop a bombshell on me. In the midst of the grief, she nonchalantly informs me that I need to pack my bags and hit the road, because apparently my father left nothing for me. According to her, the house was now exclusively hers. I was left standing there bewildered and lost. Where was I supposed to go? My father's funeral was hardly over, and here I was being evicted from my own home by the woman who was supposed to be my stepmom. I was also 14 at the time, and I did not even know that I could contact Dad's lawyer and get this sorted out. When Julian told me that Father had left nothing for me and I had to leave the house with absolutely nothing inside my hands, I believed her. Because why wouldn't I? I didn't check the villain, anything like that, because I didn't have time to. She kicked me out as soon as she realizes that was no longer here to support me. To say I was hurt would be an absolute understatement. I was devastated. I did not know where to go or who to go to. Fortunately, my maternal aunt came to my rescue. She took me in, providing some stability in the downward spiral that has become my life. I had absolutely no idea, though, that this was the only start of a very complicated and lengthy journey. She gave me everything that my stepmother could give me. She treated me like her own child and made sure I never had to complain about anything. She had the idea that I've gone through enough in my life to be complaining about anything while I was living with her. The best part was that she reminded me exactly of my mom. So living with her was really easy. I did not have any contact with my stepmother either. I just turned 18 a few weeks ago, and all those years I've had absolutely no contact with her, and I was fine with it. That was until I met with my dad's lawyer by accident last week. I was out at a cafe near my house wanting to grab a cup of coffee before going back home to focus on studying, when I was seeing Mark, my dad's lawyer, stepping in line next to me. Well, obviously I was incredibly shocked to see him, but for some reason he seemed to be even more shocked to see me, like he seriously could not believe his eyes. He asked me what I was doing in this part of the city, and I was, back to get my inheritance back. But I was just staring at him like he was some kind of alien speaking a language I could not even understand. What did he mean, get my inheritance back? I needed to know more, so I asked him if he had time to set up a meeting with me. He wasn't available at this time because he had to go back to work, but he told me to meet him for dinner that night, that he would tell me the entire truth. I guess he could figure out from my face that I had no clue what he was talking about. So, meeting him for dinner was the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Apparently, my stepmother was lying to me about every single thing that's happened since my father died. Mark told me that the inheritance clearly stated, everything that my dad owes should be under my name as soon as I turned 18 years of age. Julian had nothing left for her after I turned 18, and until then she was supposed to be my guardian. Well, he was extremely shocked to find out that she's kicked me to the curb and did not even bother asking me why, where, or how I was doing. Well, not only that, what he told me next rocked my entire socks off. While he was telling me about the entire thing, about how the inheritance was actually supposed to be mine, the only thing that I kept thinking was that maybe Julian did not know about it either. Even though her perception has been completely ruined after she kicked me out, I still wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because she was once just like a mother to me. However, what I got from Mark shattered all my doubts and left me absolutely devastated. Julian did not know that legally I was the owner of everything. She also refused to accept it and did not even acknowledge the fact that I was alive and well. Mike told me that he went to her house now and asked me multiple times so he could discuss all the legal matters with me, but every time he went, Julian would just make up an excuse to get him out. Sometimes I'd be on a trip. Sometimes I'd be busy at someone's house. Anything that she had to say to keep Mark away from me, she did. Well, then comes the even more shocking part. The last time Mark wanted to find me, a few months before I turned 18 years of age, Julian told him that I've ran away with my boyfriend without letting anybody know where I went. Apparently, that's what she was telling everybody who ever asked about me, whether it was my dad's friends, my mom's friends, anybody who ever knew me. She kept telling them that I ran away with my boyfriend and never contacted her again. I'm mad. I'm so mad right now I can't even see straight. My aunt and I can feel the anger boiling from within us, and we've decided that we're going to need to have a talk with my aunt. There's no way I'm going to let her keep my inheritance, and if I need to sue her for it, then so be it. What do you guys think I should do with my stepmother? Comment number 1 of the original post says, okay, I read the entire thing and it's clearly bullcrap. I mean, the entire thing was not your fault when you were 14, of course, but you're still the dumb kid because how did you not realize that your dad would have left you nothing when you were so close to him? You kept mentioning how he was your best friend and you guys did everything together for years until he passed. How is it logically possible in your brain that somebody who loved you this much would have left you nothing? Come on. Why did your lawyer not try harder to find you, too? I mean, if your stepmother was saying you weren't home, he should have waited for you to come home or found a way to contact you before just giving up. You guys are very idiotic. If it was me, I would have legally fought my stepmother or planned on doing so the second I turned 18. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So that's a very interesting comment we just checked out. Yeah, it does ask a lot of questions we need answered. Luckily, there's multiple updates, so we're going to hop into the first one. If you guys have not gotten a second to subscribe to the channel, just take a second, hit that button down below, and let's jump into the first update, update number 1. The comments supporting me have brought so much comfort and support, so thank you. For the first person who's telling me that I'm an idiot for not confronting my stepmother as soon as I turned 18, I don't think you've ever been in a situation like this in your entire life. If you had, you would have understood that it doesn't happen like this. Thinking something like this, it was really hard, I was only 14 when my father died and I got kicked to the curb right then. Obviously, I did not know what to do at the time because I was a kid. Even after, I did not go to my stepmother because I didn't even know if my dad actually left anything for me. It wasn't as obvious as you're trying to make it out to be because at that point in my life, I truly thought my stepmother would always be there for me. Well, guess what? She wasn't. I didn't want to go through another heartbreak if I found out that my father did not leave anything for me. It was just too much. Anyways, let's move on. We finally went to see Julian. I initially was scared because I did not want to go and revisit the experience of my past again. It hurt so much the first time, and I felt like it would hurt me when I saw her again, and had to confront her about the fact that she basically ruined my life and was not planning on running my future as well. I just did not know if I was up for it. Either way, I had to go do it because this was my inheritance, and there's no way I was just going to let her take my money and my property. Well, a few days ago, we went over to the house that we used to live in, the one that my mom's taken over without any sort of remorse. We thought, because we've been told this by our lawyer, that she would know that we weren't lying and then would not try to pull something to save herself. However, we should have realized that she's a money-hungry B-word, because she's just not ready to accept the fact that the inheritance is under my name. As soon as we mentioned that we knew what the will actually said, it was clear she panicked and did not want to do or say anything about it. Her entire face got as white as a sheet, and, well, her eyes were nothing more than saucepans. Yup. That's when we thought that she'd break and give me back the house and everything else that she owed me. That simply was not the case, though. She completely denied the fact that she owed me anything and kept on repeating that as far as she knew, she did not say anything like that. She told us that we were lying straight to our faces, and according to her, we were the ones who were money hungry, which is why we appeared after all these years to take everything away that she had. Even when I told her that she was the one at fault for kicking me out, her excuse was, well, she's trying to make me independent, and that I had no right to question her methods. She practically kicked us out again, and I'm just so sick and tired of being treated this way by her. I'm going to make sure she knows that she does not mess with me anymore. I'm planning on bringing in the lawyer, and next time I go and see her, so she knows she legally can't mess with me anymore. Update number 2. I finally showed her who was messing with, and she should not have done that. She should have thought twice before acting like she did not know anything about the inheritance. Basically, what happened was, after we got back from Julian's, I immediately went to sleep because I didn't really want to deal with all of this at the time. I was so emotionally exhausted about the fact that she kicked me out of the house for a second time in less than 5 years that I really didn't know or want to deal with anyone at this point. However, my aunt was absolutely mad about the fact that I was treated this way, and she did not want me to let this go easily. That's why she convinced me to go through with the plan of taking Mark to the house. Well, I know I initially said that it was my plan and I was going to do it as soon as I left the house, but like I said, I was just so mentally exhausted that I just wanted to give up and not do anything about it. Anyways, my aunt made some really good points about the fact that I could not let her step all over me and defeat me like this. That's exactly what motivated me to do it, so I did. I took Mark to my aunt's house, and as soon as she recognized him, she tried to close the door on us and leave us outside of the house. That was the first thing that she did that was really suspicious. The second thing was the fact that after we made her talk to us, she pretended like the previous encounter between us never happened. She said things like how no one told her about the will, and this was the first time she was hearing about this entire thing, even though I'd literally told her the whole ordeal maybe less than a week ago. Either way, I told her I was going to sue her. I am. I'm going to sue her for kicking me out of the house and just keeping me uninformed about the entire thing. I mean, think about it. If I had not run into Mark at the cafe, there was no way I was going to know about this at all. It's not like Julian would someday just call me up and tell me that I own everything, and she's just going to hand it to me just like that. There's no way. I mean, I could have gone my whole life without knowing my dad left me anything, and then eventually resenting him. That would have been proper heartbreak, but I knew my stepmother would try to convince me about now. Yeah, doing this to her, but I didn't want to hear it. The only reason I went with Mark in the first place was because I wanted to throw it in her face that I knew what I was doing. I wasn't some stupid little 14-year-old anymore that she could just toss around and pretend like I don't exist. I wasn't going to let her live comfortably while, using all my dad's properties, which now rightfully belong to me. So after I told her that I was preparing to sue her for everything that she's done to me and is continuing to do, I left without looking back or even thinking about what her response would be. I just need to prepare for the legal battle now. Update number 3. Hey, so there's a plot twist for this. Are you ready? I honestly feel like everything's just been piling up ever since the entire drama started, and every time I think it's going on in a straight line, it comes back to bite me in the butt and a new fiasco has showed up. Let me tell you guys what happened now. I don't know if you guys remember, but I basically threatened Julian that I was going to sue her for her actions. Well, that scared her, obviously. No matter how tough she might look on the outside, she's still a scaredy little cat on the inside, and a legal battle was enough to make her pee her pants. She came crawling back to us not even a week after we told her that we'd see her in court, came crawling on her knees, begging me to not do this. Obviously, I wasn't going to listen. She could not just come to me and tell me not to ruin her life when she tried hardest to ruin mine. It's just not possible. However, when she realized I was not going to back off, she threw away the plan of begging about the entire thing and just told me a different story. Basically, she starts to cry. I don't know if they were crocodile tears or not, because they sure as hell looked real, but her entire face was red and blotchy, and she starts telling me how she was a single mom to the daughter that she had, and she needs a lot of money to support her education and send her abroad. According to her, that's what she used all my inheritance money to do. Send away her other daughter for an education. Mark had mentioned that Dad had left me a lot of money, a sum big enough that I could not even comprehend. But now Julian was telling me that she was forced to spend all the money on her daughter so she could improve her life. There's 2 reasons why I am so mad about that, guys. Well, firstly, it was not her money to give away, so why was she using it, and who gave her the right to do whatever she wanted with such a huge sum? One that did not even belong to her, I should add. Secondly, it was also the fact that I was a little hurt by her actions. I know that she would never do something like this for me, using somebody else's money to give me a better life. However, she was doing it for her other daughter without a hesitation? Was I that unimportant to her? What kind of mom was she? Then I started thinking that maybe it's because of the fact that I was not an actual daughter. I wasn't her own blood. The other daughter could be her own blood, which was probably why she was going through all of this trouble. So, around, right when this whole thought process entered my mind, it got disturbed by my aunt's very audible gasp and her shrill reply of how Julian was cheating on my dad. If she had a daughter that was around the same age as me? Well, that's what brought me back to reality and made me realize the extent of this story and how bad it actually was. However, Julian saved herself because, according to her, the reason she had a daughter was not because she was cheating on my dad and got pregnant through another man. It's because she was married to somebody else because, well, she got with my dad. She was married and she had a child with somebody else who passed away before she met Dad. She also said that she did not tell us about her daughter Jenna because she did not want us to think her love was divided or doubt her if she could take care of the child alongside being included in our family too. Well, I know this might make her seem like a good person, but I still can't forget what she did to me and how she treated me all these years. That's why I told her that I would see her in court, because no matter how sob-worthy her story is, I wasn't going to let her go unpunished for what she did to me. Update number 4. Okay, another plot twist, because obviously those never end. Turns out Julian was not sending money to anyone. Now, it's not like she did not have a daughter. She did. She even introduced us to her daughter, and it was not a call or text, but she showed us pictures of them together, and I knew they weren't lying about it. A few nights later, I get a call from a random number, which turned out to be Jenna. She told me how she found out what's going on and wanted to sort it out. She would not tell me where she found it out, but she said that she did not talk to Mom anymore. She just had a few friends here who let her know what's going on since their mom are always friends with each other. Either way, she said that she knew that she had to fly out and tell me the truth as soon as she heard what happened, which was why she was now in my city, telling me to meet her at the exact moment. It was like 11 p.m. when she called, but I went out to meet her right that instant, and I'm really glad that I did, because guess what I found out? Apparently, Julian had just made the payment in the university for the one time, and then sent Jenna abroad. However, after she reached there, Julian cut all contact with her and did not even send her money anymore, which is why Jenna had to survive on her own, through everything, and find a way to make her own money. Do you guys know what this means? It means that she either has all my money with her, or she spent it somewhere else, where it was not to help her daughter study abroad. As soon as I found that out, I was absolutely furious. I mean, how dare she do that? I guess I can believe why she would do it, because it's not like anything else she's done over the years was helpful for me as well, but it still stung. But this helped clarify that I really needed to sue her and show her, who she's messing with, the wrong person. I asked Jenna if she wanted to help me take Julian down, but she said that she had to head back because she was midway through her semester, and the only reason she flew down here was because she wanted to warn me in person about how manipulative and aggressive Julian can be. Of course, she didn't really need to warn me, though, because I already had first-hand experience about everything described. So I told Mark about the entire thing that happened, and his only response was that we need to teach her a lesson. And what better way to do that than to legally challenge her? Final update. Oh boy, things have been a bit messed up. Well, I told you guys that Mark and I were going to show Julian how to mess with us, right? Well, we did that, but Julian also has to pay a price to make sure his license did not get suspended. It's because he failed to complete his duties as a lawyer. He didn't tell me about the inheritance or take any legal action towards Julian, so he got in trouble for that. After Jenna came to visit me, Julian found out about what happened and told me she was not going to handle this disrespect from either one of her daughters. Then comes the day of the case. We got to the courtroom, and the entire scene was just so hectic and crazy. I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. So the room goes quiet, and I mean pin drop silence. People's faces, pure shock. Then my lawyer goes into storytelling mode. Not just about the cash, but about trust, family, drama. The judge, now fully aware of the extent of the deceit, listened intently as my attorney made a compelling case for justice. The debate in the courtroom extended beyond the personal betrayal. It touched on large themes of trust, family bonds, and the consequences of greed. Overall, right, the conclusion was that I won the case. Julian had to give me everything that she owes me, and even if she had spent it. I'm super pumped about that, but the only part that I'm not okay with is the fact that Mark had to pay a huge amount of fines because of the fact that he failed to fulfill his legal duty. He said it's okay, but that I did not have to worry about it because it was not my fault that all this happened. But I still feel really guilty about the situation. Either ways, guys, I'm glad that I at least don't have to worry about dealing with my stepmother anymore, and I can finally live my life knowing the facts that my dad actually left me something before he passed away.